Before the hum of radiators or the push of modern HVAC systems, folks relied on clever, practical strategies to make their own body heat last through long, cold nights. This wasn't about comfort alone. It was about survival. Those living through the seasons learned to work with physics, architecture, and daily habits to conserve warmth, often in homes that were drafty and uninsulated. Understanding these methods gives modern enthusiasts both historical insight and practical applications for today. They used beds as heat retention machines. The bed itself was central to heat management. Far from being just a place to lie down, the bed was a carefully engineered microclimate. Folks elevated mattresses on frames, sometimes stacking straw or feather-filled ticks beneath to provide insulation from the cold floor. Feather beds, down quilts, and thick blankets were layered strategically, with heavier, denser materials on top to trap heat. The trick was creating a contained space that could hold the body's natural warmth through the night. People often shared beds with family members, not for closeness alone, but because the combined body heat dramatically increased the efficiency of the bed as a thermal reservoir. Even the placement of the bed mattered. Pulling it a few inches away from cold walls or corners prevented heat from dissipating into masonry, while placing it against interior walls retained warmth. Modern survivalists can apply this by thinking in layers, adding insulating mats under the mattress, using thermal blankets, or even arranging sleeping positions to maximize shared warmth in a cold room. They created enclosed sleeping spaces within larger rooms. In larger, drafty rooms, folks often built miniature warm zones. Canopies, drapes, or wooden panels around beds reduced the volume of air needing to be heated. Hanging heavy curtains from ceiling to floor around the sleeping area created a pocket of warm air. The warmth generated by a single body could then circulate in a confined space rather than escaping into the cold room. Even in small cottages, families would hang thick curtains between bedrooms or from windows to trap heat. This method wasn't decorative, it was functional. Practically, this means you can reduce heating demands today by concentrating heat where you sleep, using bed tents, thermal curtains, or even DIY drape enclosures. They insulated themselves directly. Clothing was another form of body heat recycling. Nightwear was designed to trap warmth. Woolen nightcaps, long-sleeved shirts, and layered socks weren't simply comfort items. They reduced heat loss from extremities, which are the body's natural radiators. Even hair was covered with caps to prevent heat from escaping from the scalp. Folks slept with multiple layers of blankets, often separating them into a bottom layer to insulate against cold mattresses and top layers to trap air heated by the body. Today, anyone facing a power outage or a cold room can replicate this layer clothing and bedding strategically, cover extremities, and think of the body as a heat source that must be enclosed efficiently. They used the body heat of animals. Animals weren't just for work or food, they were living heaters. Families would allow livestock or pets to sleep in adjoining rooms, benefiting from the warmth radiating from animals. Even small animals like cats and dogs, curled up on beds or in corners, contributed noticeably to the thermal efficiency of the space. The principle is simple. Any warm-blooded presence adds to the retained energy in a room. Today, the idea can be applied in survival settings or rustic living by keeping pets nearby in cold conditions, or even using heated pads or safe warm boxes to mimic the effect. They stored heat in the room before bedtime. Warmth wasn't just generated at night, it was stored. People would heat the bedroom during the day using fireplaces, stoves, or even heated stones placed under covers or in beds. Stones were heated in the fire, then wrapped and placed under blankets, radiating stored warmth slowly. Hot water bottles, although a later innovation, followed the same principle. A heated object acts as a thermal battery, releasing heat over hours. Modern enthusiasts can use thermal mass similarly, preheating rooms briefly, using heated bricks, bottles, or even insulated ceramic pads in beds to maintain warmth through the night. They reduced heat loss through careful ventilation. Counterintuitively, people didn't always seal every crack. Drafts were managed intelligently. Windows and doors were layered with heavy drapes or shutters to block direct cold, while small vents or gaps allowed minimal airflow to prevent condensation and frost. Floors might be covered with rugs or straw to prevent cold rising from below. Heat retention was about controlling airflow, not creating a sealed box. Applying this today means using rugs, curtains, and minimal controlled ventilation to maintain a warm sleeping environment without suffocating air quality. They recycled body heat actively. Some methods involved more than just passive insulation. They actually used body heat cycles on purpose. Families might spend time together in one room in the evening, warming up the air before heading off to bed. Heavy clothing or blankets from the living area would then be carried to the bedroom, bringing that stored heat along. Even breathing was factored in. Bed arrangements and blankets were set up to trap warm, exhaled air, so folks were basically recycling the heat from their own breath. For modern survivalists, this is a good reminder that warmth can be pre-stored and transferred, even with simple things. Heated blankets, pre-warmed rooms, and concentrated human presence all help cut down on the energy needed to stay warm. They adapted seasonally, Strategies would change with the seasons. In winter, folks relied on multiple layers and tight sleeping spaces, while in those in-between months, lighter blankets and partial enclosures were usually enough. Homes were often designed to take advantage of passive solar heating during the day, with beds placed just right to catch the sun's warmth, then insulated at night. Understanding these seasonal adjustments really shows us that warmth management was always dynamic, not just a set-it-and-forget-it thing. Even today, adjusting bedding, clothing, and room arrangements with the seasons can make a big difference, boosting energy efficiency and comfort, all without fancy modern heating. Applying these historical strategies today can be pretty simple and really effective. The principles behind these old methods are just timeless: trap heat, reduce the air volume you're heating, insulate your surfaces, and use every bit of warmth you can get. For anyone in a cold room nowadays, combining a thick mattress topper, thermal blankets, insulated curtains, and some pre-warmed objects can mimic those centuries-old tricks. Layered clothing, hats, and socks are practical additions too. And hey, even sharing warmth with pets or family members makes a difference. These aren't just relics, they're strategies that have worked for generations, and honestly, they still work just as well today as they did before central heating came along. Understanding these techniques lets serious history enthusiasts and survivalists step back into the past and see some real, hands-on ingenuity in action. They also offer practical insight for anyone wanting to cut down on modern heating, survive off-grid, or just learn from the wisdom of folks who made it through tough winters without electricity. If you found this guide helpful, go ahead and subscribe and share it around. There's a whole world of historical knowledge out there that still matters today, and every subscriber helps us keep digging up these forgotten ways to live through the seasons.